Hi, I'm Laya Saul, author of the book Sisterhood of the Copper Mirrors, The Legacy of the Jewish Woman. And today I want to talk to you and tell you the story of what that is, the Copper Mirrors. Why is it called Sisterhood of the Copper Mirrors? What do copper mirrors have to do with Jewish women? So here's the story. It begins when the Jews were enslaved in Egypt. And what I want to really make sure that we all understand is that slavery is not the cartoony thing that we see when we read the little Passover Haggadah, the little booklet that we read during Passover Seder, or the cartoons that we see in movies that were made about that time of the Egyptian taskmaster standing with his whip over his head and the Israelite cowering, and it's just a big cartoon. I really want to make sure that we all understand what a desperate and degrading and humiliating time that is. It's a time of such bitterness and such pain and such loss and such trial, and it's very easy to understand how people could despair in a time of slavery. But there was something very interesting about the Israelite women, and that was that they knew without a doubt, they had a certainty, not a blind faith, but a trust and a certainty that this too shall pass and that they will be redeemed and they will leave that slavery. So what did they do? They wanted to build families for that time. And the problem was that there was a lot of despair, and the men at the end of the day would lay in the field, because why get up and go home when you're going to have to just get up and do it tomorrow? They wanted every minute to rest. It's understandable. The women, on the other hand, wanted to build families, because a family is a hope for the future. It's an opportunity to build something. And what are you building when you build a family? You're bringing light into this world. The idea of the Jewish nation is to be a nation that brings light into the world. And the women understood that, and they wanted to fulfill that. So what did they do? They took a piece of copper and they polished it very highly, and they made that into a mirror. And they looked in the mirror and they tried to beautify themselves. Maybe they pinched their cheeks to get them rosy. Maybe they took some ashes from the fire and used it as a little eyeliner. Or maybe it went even someplace deeper, and they looked in the mirror, not at so much what was the physical reflection coming back, but could they go and find something even higher on a spiritual level looking at them? So we've all had that experience where we look in the mirror and we go, ah, and other times when we look in the mirror and we go, yeah, okay. So what's the difference? Because it's the same face. Well, it has to do with the eyes that we're looking at, and what are we looking for? We can find that godly essence in ourselves. We can find it in others if we have the right eyes to do that. So the women were using their copper mirrors, and then they would go to their husbands in the fields, and they would say, come, we're going to go make a family. So here were all of these ordinary women, all of the nation, and they were all doing something very extraordinary. It was such a beautiful idea. So fast forward, the Jews are going to be leaving Egypt now. And I'm not going to go into details, but they actually left with great wealth. They left with gold and silver and all kinds of resources. And there's places you could research more about that. And as they were traveling in the desert, so it came time that we were instructed about how to build the Mishkan, the sanctuary. This is going to be the place where God's presence would come, be more available for all of humanity. And there were certain instructions about exactly the dimensions that it needed, very detailed, and we still have records of it. It's all written in the Torah. And there were certain quantities of materials that were needed to produce and build this holy sanctuary. Certain amount of gold, a certain amount of silver, a certain amount of wool. And all of the nation of Israel was in a position to donate something for building this sanctuary. But if you didn't hurry up and donate whatever you wanted to donate, if they said we need X units of gold, if you didn't bring your gold, you didn't get your gold in on that incredible place. So while they were collecting, there was the women were bringing their copper mirrors, and they were bringing them to donate. Well, Moses looks at the copper mirrors and he says, wait a second, I'm not so sure about these things. Weren't they about vanity? So he goes directly to God and he says, okay, should I use these mirrors? Is there should I take them? And God answered Moshe, and he said, not only should you use the mirrors, use every single one. They are so precious to me that any woman who wants her mirror in it, there's room. So this was the only material that was able to be given in unlimited quantity. Whoever wanted to donate, theirs were part of it. The copper mirrors were made into the wash basin that the high priests would use before they could enter and do their service. So before they could even go in there, they had to clean themselves, not in a physical way, but in a spiritual way. This was a spiritual ritual, and they had to pass through this beautiful vessel of copper that was made from the mirrors of the women. So here's the deal. We are the generation, like some people say that we are the reincarnation of the generation of those women in Egypt. We are ordinary women, but we're all doing something extraordinary. We're bringing light into this world, and we're making our contribution. So while the stories in the book of the Sisterhood of the Copper Mirrors are about some of the great archetypes and matriarchs of our nation, it's really a book about us, because these were women that were chosen to have their story recorded in a significant way. But those are the women whose shoulders we stand on. And so I want to invite you to step into the beauty of what it is to be a sisterhood, and for us to understand that we can look in the mirror today and rise up in a way that is not about complaining, but about taking responsibility. And it's about that certainty and that trust that whatever is hard in life, this too shall pass, and that no matter what we're facing, we're building, and we're bringing light into this world. So that's a story, in short, of the women of Egypt, the Israelite women who left Egypt and their copper mirrors. Thanks for listening. See you next time. Bye.